these are the Smart Side trims for the doors, and I'm obviously pre-assembling them using biscuits, pocket hole screws, and then we've also got to pad these out because they're going to be installed prior to our actual vertical siding, which means that we need to appear that they are installed on top of the vertical siding so it matches all the other trims in the building and has the same plane. There, so now they're padded out, and you'll notice that we left a little gap around the inside. That's because the windows usually have a little bit of a flange or something that can kind of hinder this sitting as flush as possible. So we kind of take care of that by not making our backing as big or as tight to the window. So when installing the trim around the doors, because this is concrete down here, we want to stay off it just a little bit. And we're going to use a little piece of flashing, and that's just going to, keep some of the moisture out of this concrete that's going to come up. You don't want to have your Smart Side trims in direct contact with the concrete, so it's just a good practice. This is a piece of head flashing. It's going to cap over top, and any moisture that comes down is going to drip over the top versus potentially making its way back here. We do have these doors seal taped with the Fentrum that wraps around the jamb, so obviously the chance of any issues is pretty minimal, especially being underneath the porch. But once again, it's just, this is what you should do, so that's what we're going to do. We've got our pre-assembled door trims, and what I'm going to do is just take my trim, set it in here where it's going to go, so I can mark the other side. Now what I'll do is just eyeball this to be equal distance on both sides. Pretty good. So now that we have that done, we can go ahead and install our trims. One of the things I talked about when we were pre-assembling these is this spacer board and how we didn't run it tight to the edge. That's because when you look at these doors, the flange is a little bit thicker there than the wall. So we wanted to kind of take some of that away so that when we put this in here, it's as flush as possible. Even though it won't be perfect, it'll be as good as we can get it. I can set this in here, make sure I'm where I want to be, right about there. So now I'm going to make sure that these are spaced appropriately, then look good. I'm just going to go ahead and take my tape measure, do 2 foot spacing. So I'm going to throw one here at 4 foot, 2 foot, and then I'm going to split this distance in half. And then what I'm going to do is there's still just a slight bit of gap here potentially. So I'm just taking my shims and I'm making sure that this is squared up to my wall. So I don't want it to be rocked back and I don't want it to be sticking out. I want it to look flat. And this flange that's on these doors and windows is what's going to cause this problem. If there was no flange, it would sit flat to my WeatherLogic and I would have no issues. But I've got flanges, I've got layers of tape, and there's a little bit of thickness difference in those planes. So I am using a composite shim, not a wood shim, so it doesn't have any chance of rotting. Nice thing too is these things, they pop off real clean. Okay, so now that I've got all the nails in, I'm going to make sure that they're flush. Nice thing about the Smart Side trim, even with the pre-finished expert finish, pretty darn durable, and you can pound it with your hammer. It ain't gonna get ruined. And then I'm just gonna come back in with my touch-up. I'm just gonna hit these nail heads. And with the cedar grain textured trims that I'm using here, these nails will just like disappear. But the nice thing is, with the expert finish on the Smart Side, that's it. I don't have to have a painter come by and paint all my trims, which you would do with like a primed version. That's done. That's it. It's going to be like this now for, I don't know, it's 30-some year warranty, 35-year warranty. But don't quote me on that. You want to check for yourself, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Greg, do you remember? Paint finish is like 30, I think, and the actual substrate, the actual smart side is 50-year warranty. I think you're right. Yeah. So there we go. Door done. Now what I needed these doors done was so I could run stone down at the bottom. But next I got to get these windows figured out so I know where to end my stone around them. All right, so there's my reference line I'll use on this wall. And that is to maintain a level stone line. So if you're like a masonry guy, he's gonna, every course of bricks or every couple courses, he puts a string line, make sure that they're staying straight. This, I can't really do that. I could probably do that, but honestly, this is way easier for me. We just need to mount our stone, and I can measure back to this guy and make sure that I'm still running level and consistent. All right, let's get started and start with our corners. So with the Versetta Stone corners, they have a finished edge, and then you're gonna wanna take a piece of Versetta Stone that's been cut, and that's what you're going to put into your corner. I don't like the way those come together. I got this gap here, so I'm gonna wanna do something like this and go from this mark down to nothing. All right, we got our cut here. So if I set this in and I bring it over to this other one, that is a much, much nicer cut. And then just as a reference check, and there's gonna be a lot of reference checking because I like these things to be straight. We're gonna move this up just a hair so that it's at 32. We do have a water spigot that's gonna go right here, and that will have to be detailed when the time comes. It's like right in the middle of a panel. So hopefully we can find a good stone with a good flat area for that to go on. This is a very important row. It's gonna set you off for the rest of the wall. We've only got to come up 4 rows, so you know it's not super crucial. You could probably just go with it off the base, but I like to check every one, keep making sure it's good, and then you don't have to go back and repair things. I've been down that road, and there'll be a lot of repetitive putting up panels, but I'll show you kind of some of the key points. Like I'll go around this guy, I'll do some more corner work. Yeah, keep showing you what we're doing here. Well, we got the stone started yesterday, but we're back here today, and there's a big change. Yesterday was 60 probably, really nice. We were sweating, and today it's very breezy and much, much colder. I'd say high today of 41, Greg? Low 40s, yeah. And something like that. Goal is to get a lot of this stone up here and start, you know, making this thing look a little bit more finished. Oh boy, that wind is breezy. Now that we have that first course ran, we're gonna come through with the DeWalt roofing gun. It's perfect for this. There we go. Now when we get into this block here, I got to take this tongue off, and because this doesn't have a groove in it. In fact, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea for those to have a groove in there, so then when this piece goes on, boom, that's going to lock that in, and then the box is going to get mounted, screwed in, and that's going to even do more. But we just keep on going on. So I'll take this piece, put it in here, and then just take this bottom tongue off to that point, which a lot of times you can just do that with your hammer. Sometimes a grinder is just as fast, but my grinder's over there, so we're just gonna hammer it off. Good to go. All right, so we've got a hose bib here, and my plumber left this loose so that I could pull this out and drill the hole right in my panel. So what I did was found a panel that had a nice flat area right where I was going to want to drill the hole. So what I'm going to do is put this up where it's going to go, and I'm going to go on the inside, stick a marker through it. I'm hoping I can get a good, circle where this is going to go. I don't think I've got a bit long enough to drill it actually from the inside, so hopefully this will work. And then I'll try to drill a hole through this stuff. We'll see how it does. I don't know if my marker was able to get much of a mark on the back of it. Look at that, we got a hole. So now we can go ahead and get it drilled. All right, so here's my mark, and I've got we are doing some plumbing work, so I've got my plumber's hole saw set from Diablo, and these are carbide, so not necessarily for masonry, but we're gonna go ahead and give it a go. I bet you it'll work. See, I want to go till the hole pops out, and then I'm going to come from the other side. I think it's one of those times that slower is actually a little bit better. Now I'm going to flip this over so that we hopefully don't have any blowout on the finished side. That actually worked really good. Now let's go see how we lined up. Look at that. So that can get mounted when he gets all this plumbing done. We'll just put a little, concrete fastener or drill a small enough pilot hole. Look at that, Greg. That looks good. Pre-assembled trims, another good reason to use pre-assembled trims, man. Makes this so much easier. Now you got your mark over there, Greg. All right, now we've got this window done. You can kind of see the way this is going to work. We got our stone dies into the trim. We've got some touch-up paint to do and some more nails to do, but we've got that bottom sill cap that is going to be flashed with the aluminum up underneath, and then our smart side is spaced off of that. The goal is 3/8, that's what you want to be, and that's the detail, man. It looks pretty good if I step back here. And as we go around the corner, we do have 3 more windows. These next 3 windows are we have 4 windows. These next 4 windows all get stone around them. We can't just go underneath of them, which kind of stinks, but it's starting to look pretty good. All right, so what we're doing right now is marking the location of these trims that we pre-assembled. I'm good. So that we can know exactly where our stone is going to need to be, because we've got to mount our capstone that's going to go underneath here before we can install these windows. But we need to know where the windows are so we know where to install the capstone. So now we're marking 3 1/4 down from this line. This line is the bottom of our trim that we just marked, but the 3 1/4 is where we want our stone to be cut to so that we can put our sill trim on, and everything should work out and flash in properly. Go through it a little ways, Greg, if you can. Pull it tight if you can, Greg. Tomorrow, we've got rain coming in, and it's going to be here for most of the week. So right here, this will obviously turn into a mud hole. We decided, let's go ahead and run this. So I know we started on the window, install going around those windows over here in the porch. And if we don't get to it today because we're concentrating on getting this all done, we'll get to it tomorrow. But this is going pretty good. We've got this water spigot here that I don't know if it's hooked up inside. It feels like it is. And if so, it's unfortunate because it's in kind of a crappy place. But we'll make it work. It just isn't where I would have wanted it. But hopefully we can find a piece that this works good with. We can get a hole drilled around it or something. And we're just gonna keep running this. So I've been working on this window over here, getting my sill cap on, and then we can get that trimmed out. And we got one more row to run on this, and this window also needs to be sill capped. All right, so unfortunately, this has all been plumbed inside, and short of probably having to get my plumber back here, which I could do, but I really don't need to in this situation, we've got a piece of stone. What I did was I drilled my hole right where I wanted it, and then I went ahead and I cut it in half. So the goal is to be able to take these two pieces, put them together, and the fact that they're the exact same piece, you know, yes, there is a crack there, but however, you're never really going to see that. And does that really draw your attention as much as a joint here? Probably not, especially when you step back and take a look at it. So now this thing can get mounted right where that's supposed to be. But before I do this, since it's already here, we're going to take some flex tape and we're going to tape around that joint, and then we'll get some spray foam from the inside to seal that all up. And I see the little dam there. That'll prevent any of the water from going back there behind the stone, and it's gonna be forced to work right over the top. So we've got our capstone here, and what we are going to do is, you'll see I've got a laser set up, and look at that, dude, we're outside. It's a little dreary out, but you can see this laser running across this wall, and we're going to use that to set our capstone so that the caps are all in line, good and level, so that when we run our metal flashing and then our siding up above, it stays nice and consistent. My guess is if I get this as close as I can by the laser, probably gonna be really good, you know? Wait, why do I have a T25 in my drill? It's all right, I have one of these 90X Phillips Makita, extremely durable yet not very durable bits that I want to put into it. Someone made a good point. Why do you sell a 15 pack of a bit that lasts 90 times longer? 29 3/8. Now when I cut this, I'm not going to cut this edge. I'll actually cut it back on this side so that I get a nice finished edge over here that sticks out.
Wait, when did you break it? Like, ha 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 ha.
I'm gonna
number 6?
I think it's number 6. Well, I mean, this was a 15 pack that I had used a couple out of.
So much disrespect. Like, you got duped, man. I'm like,
Yeah. Dude, I'm okay with it.
yeah.
Looks good.
Right.
Yep, I like it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. That was pretty simple. This wall had our hose bib. That still needs to get mounted there, but that turned out good. And with these windows having some sills underneath, I think it adds a little bit better detail than just running the stone tight around there. Now this will get flashed with aluminum so we can run our siding. So this wall is ready to go. All right, back on going around this window. So we've got a bunch of lines here. This line represents the bottom of our trim. This line here represents where we want to cut our stone so that when we put it on, like so, this is where a piece of capstone, like sill cap, is gonna go. So when we put this on here, like so, this will get a piece of aluminum flashing bent up, and then our window trim will sit. You notice how this line is about 3/8 of an inch above this? That is on purpose because we need a 3/8 inch space between that flashing and the mortar and trim. Now you probably could get away with it. You could probably not worry about it so much, especially in a dry location like this underneath the porch, but that is what they want you to do above any flashings. Give yourself a 3/8 inch gap. So that's what you will see around this job site when looking at windows and doors. Above flashings, you'll see a 3/8 inch gap. This is a good representation too. You can see how that when this is properly installed, you've got this gap back here. It's hard to get my square back there because it's got a shoe on it, but you can kind of see. That's where the water can escape and dry out. So that's like your drainage plane or your water screen that's built into the Versetta Stone. Got these pieces cut down and looks like we're following our snap line pretty good. So you might be asking yourself, well, what are you gonna do with this here? Actually, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm gonna leave this here. What I could do is put some adhesive back here, but honestly, you gotta remember these pieces have tongue and grooves on the end, so you can see that there's a little bit of looseness here. When we put our capstones on, it's gonna lock it in and it's not going anywhere. So just by even holding that there, look at that, I can't even wiggle it anymore. I guess when perfect will have to do. See what we got here with yours. Mine is about probably there. Come a little bit more.
Yeah.
Right.
Too much?
I think that's okay right there. Yeah, take it back a hair. I'm good there. Okay, that says I need to go up to like, yeah, just a hair, like right there. Okay, now let's go ahead and bring these middles to where they belong. Okay, that's good. You guys gotta kind of like play the averages, you know? Mm-hmm. Nothing is perfect. Okay, go ahead and drop it one more time. Let's just see what this, yeah, okay, I'm good. You can't just like expect it to be perfect. I don't know what just happened here. Oh, there it is. But that's okay if it's not exactly perfect. It's stone. It's supposed to look kind of natural, not manufactured.
It looks good.
Or, like our good friend Jimmy DeResta might say, if it looks straight, it is straight. All right, now I can't really go around this corner without probably having horrible audio, but we did manage to get all this Versetta Stone done all the way back over to here where we already had it completed and our smart side siding started. But as we go around the corner, it's probably gonna get windy, but I'll go ahead and show it to you anyway. You can see the way we did the window sills. Those are flashed with aluminum. And then we get into the wind here. We've got this entire porch area done. We just got done bending up some flashing, and that will go here. So that flashing will go over top. That's going to stop the water from, working its way down siding and getting back there. Definitely really happy with the way that this turned out. It's the first time we've done the window sills or the wainscot caps underneath the window sills like this. Usually we don't have windows that go into our Versetta Stone. And the couple times that we have had that happen, we've just cut the stone out around the window because typically we're doing a steel skinned exterior which just has a tiny piece of J trim and it doesn't look bad. But with this specific style of siding and the LP Smart Side trims, we wanted to make sure that we had the full window trimmed in Smart Side and didn't think it was going to look as good just running the stone right up to it or right underneath of it, because the stone has a potential of sticking out past the siding, and we didn't want that on the bottom side to happen. So I'm pretty happy with this, looks pretty good. And now the only Versetta Stone that we have to complete is around that front door, which is still about a month away from coming. So our next step outside is going to be when the grounds are suitable to drive our machinery around. right back here, we can start running our vertical siding, smart side siding, and that's going to be awesome. I can't wait to get that done, which will allow us to start trimming out windows, getting all the battens on, and then our steel for this ceiling here in the porch, the steel for the roof in the porch, that is all on order and should be here within the next week or two. So if you guys are not already subscribed and you don't want to miss out on how this turns out, because I'm telling you, with the drywall coming, the finishes on the exterior, I am super pumped to how this is going to look. Hopefully you guys are as well. Drop me a comment down below what you've been thinking about the Barndo. Would you live in a Barndominium, something like this? And make sure you hit that thumbs up. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. We'll catch you guys on the next video. Thanks.